This video is brought to you by Nokian Tires, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantire.com/EV. This video is also brought to you by Magna, forward for all. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You joined me at SEMA 2023, absolutely insane. And SEMA is a show that's gone on for years supporting the automotive aftermarket. And now that includes EV conversions and sort of converting classic cars, modern cars to electric. It's a topic we have not covered that much on this channel, but I have the guy to take us on a full tour of the industry of the EV conversion space. It's really right at the beginning of this ramping curve. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. And so my friend Jerome Andre from EV Builder's Guide has a physical magazine that is ripping, super popular, covering this space, is going to do the video with me. We're going to go on a tour of everything here, but also talk about the safety of EV conversions, the components, should you chop up a Tesla Model 3 or start with a ground up chassis? So many topics, so many things to get into. If you like electric cars, new or old, this is the video for you. Can't wait to bring this one to you. I'm so excited we're here at SEMA in Las Vegas talking about some of the coolest cars I've ever seen in my life. Let's get into it. And here's my friend Jerome. Jerome, how's it going?
Very good, very good. Welcome to SEMA 2023. We're here at the Future Tech area, and we have so many new technology to discover, from old school conversion to brand new platform where you can just add the body you want and have a brand new vehicle. So let's check them out.
Let's check it out. We should also tell the audience, we got together in Colorado only a few months ago, and it was my first introduction to the EV conversion space. And it's like a totally Wild West world of, different than working with automakers for a new car. You can build any car into anything. And we're really starting to see that. Anything from hot rods to pickup trucks to sports cars. There's an electric Ferrari Testarossa here. Yeah. It's crazy. So I really want to see if, the audience comment below if this interests you guys, because there's so much content in this space. And we're toying with the idea of collaborating with your magazine as well and doing a new channel.
EV Builder's Guide, yeah.
Yep.
Just to put things in perspective, 3 years ago at SEMA, there were maybe 8 to 10 EVs or converted to EV. And now we have a whole area in the central hall at SEMA just promoting the EV conversion principle and modified EVs.
Yeah, it must be new for SEMA, because SEMA's always been an aftermarket show, of course.
Yes.
But we've always seen a lot of sports cars, a lot of lifted trucks, a lot of, combustion fuel burning stuff.
Yeah.
And now to see the EV presence take up an entire area of SEMA is pretty cool.
And as you can tell, it's very busy.
Yes.
People just love the new technologies, the new sexy thing, but there's so much to learn from converting a classic car. And it's becoming easier and easier to do those conversions. 3 years ago, it was so hard because you had to harvest parts from Tesla Model S and so on. Nowadays, it's just so easy. You can mail order everything you need, and you can build your car.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just seeing even these cars over here are fully electric, fully built. And Jerome, maybe you can tell our audience a little bit. There seems to be a few major players in this space when it comes to distributors or batteries, but there's got to be 150 different battery suppliers and all these things. But who are the main big players here?
As far as distributor, Legacy EV based in Phoenix are by far the largest distributors. And then you have key players like Hypercraft, Ampere EV, while they will bring a full system or individual components that you can order and set up your car or your build. But more and more, the industry has been going into building complete systems, so bolt-on, plug-in system. So it makes it way easier to convert your car. So what used to be a 2 to 3 years process can now be a few months, a few weeks, or even a couple of days process.
That's crazy, because we're seeing, sort of the skill level or the engineer level of having to convert one of these cars drop down, because a lot of the coding is done, in the units already. And if you buy a system that's designed to work together, it can just go so much easier. And that's, I think, always been the future that we've seen.
Now, you have to bear in mind we are working with high voltage technology, so a training is mandatory to even consider working on a conversion. Yeah, I mean, a few companies are doing it already, and within a couple of days, with some online training beforehand, you can start working on your conversion.
Amazing.
So there's plenty of companies here this year that were not here last year, just because they are popping up all over the place. Not only in the US, but also internationally, Australia, UK, Europe. They're bringing new concept, again, new complete system ready to be bolted on, which is a game changer in the industry.
It's fascinating to see, and I think fundamentally we're starting to see a difference between should you convert classic cars that were known for having an amazing powertrain,
yes,
which to me that feels slightly sacrilege, but some of the ways that people are doing it actually isn't so bad. I definitely want to talk about the story of the Ferrari.
It's funny that you mentioned the sacrilege, because there's a company in New York called Sacrilege.
Okay.
and they convert 964 Porsches using Felton system. And what they do is they use automatic 964, so it's not so much of a sacrilege.
Right, leave the manuals.
Yeah. But they do a fantastic job. The cars are fantastic. They're like the singer in the Porsche.
Okay.
In the EVs.
Oh, so
EV
really,
world.
really high end.
Really high end, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
cool.
converting a car, even a Porsche, doesn't have to be high end. We have one here. Something was automatic, and it has a relatively basic systems, but more and more technology again makes it not only easier, you get more performance. And again, for the last few years, most people were using repurposed Tesla Model S or Tesla Model 3 motors, but more companies are bringing dedicated motors. I've even seen JKN, which is a tier one OEM manufacturer, bringing the Fiat 500 powertrain that you can now buy to convert
Right,
the car.
because they do that. They also, I mean, GKN does the axles for Lucid Sapphire.
Absolutely.
They do the locking diff for the Taycan. They are a huge player. That's really cool.
But they
They're selling
understand
that.
the market, the industry is growing exponentially, so it's quite fantastic.
Wow,
Like,
that's
I remember
awesome.
10 years ago, nobody felt like there would be like EVs, like OEM EVs, and people would, start buying EVs. So where will we be with EV conversion in 5 years or 10 years?
It's only going to get massive. I mean, there's some, like you said, a wide range of builds from just put a couple batteries and maybe a Cascadia motor or something off the shelf right in the car and go, and all the way to someone literally hacking up a Tesla Model 3. Let's go check that out, because this to me is probably the best integrated, nicest conversion I've seen so far.
So this is a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL.
Shape at least.
Yeah. Come have a look. So obviously you have big wheels.
And
check
speaking
this out.
of the sacrilege, that's the big thing here. This was not an original car.
No, it's a fiberglass body that you can actually buy already to fit on any platform. But those guys decided to do it on the Model 3. So they started with Model 3, crashed one. They chopped the roof off and then different parts, and they ended up with a skateboard platform.
Yeah.
They drove it around to test it, and they managed to make it run. And
it's got the autopilot cameras down here.
All the cameras.
So cool.
You got the screen, the steering wheel.
And everything works, right?
Everything works.
Charge, it does.
The car thinks it's a Tesla because fundamentally it is a Tesla. But come check this out. How do you charge your Tesla Model 3 or your 300 SL? Here you go.
It's literally the Model 3 charge port, so that is just amazing. And it's currently at 53% state of charge. I saw when you opened it up. This is super neat.
And the interior is fantastic too, yeah.
The cool part about this is a car that would have been to a junkyard. And the fiberglass shell, is not an old 300 SL, my dream car. And here you have literally my dream car electrified.
New dream car now.
Yes, it's so cool. And, I'm so into this idea of finding things to do with all these batteries. And of course, there's builds on new series production models like this Model 3 going,
the car
insane.
culture has fully embraced the EV world. So you get like a wide body, roll cage, carbon fiber seat, huge wheels on the air suspension. So, we're in the Fast and Furious of the 2020s.
I love it.
And it's just fantastic.
It's so cool. So I'm noticing a rolling chassis over here.
Yes.
And Is this something we're going to start to see more of, perhaps pre-built chassis?
I was going to say it's the future of EV conversion, but I think it's one future, one direction, but it's a really exciting one because more and more shops and even individual will be able to buy a full skateboard platform. So you will get the whole system with a dedicated chassis. Obviously, the batteries are all the way down, so the weight is as low as possible, and one or two motors. So you can custom design your platform and then add the body you want. So
it's such a smart idea. And I agree with you. I think there's one of two ways. I think we're going to see a lot of Model 3 builds because there's just so many of them. They're built to last so well. Of course, Tesla builds some of the best powertrains. So I think we're going to see a lot of builds like that 300 SL. But then also this, you can basically go full custom, full bespoke. Spec the batteries you want, spec the motors you want, up to, I think, 1,200 horsepower in this Elkington version. Crazy.
Yeah. And we've seen the 67 Mustangs they've built, black on black. It's fantastic.
Okay.
And but the thing is, for the industry, for shops building cars, they can scale buying this. You cannot really build a business on repurposing Tesla Model 3 chassis. So there's a market for everything, really, and price point will be different also.
Right.
But if you want your FSD, you want to keep your FSD on your 300 SL, that's a good solution too.
It's pretty wild.
I love the idea.
It's crazy.
So we have some powertrain, as I said, since last year. More and more companies are bringing bolt-on systems. So this is a system to be bolted on a Cobra, so not a real Cobra.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you could if you wanted to, but yeah.
And who makes this particular one?
Scorpion EV. We can check them out also.
Okay, great. So this is basically, if you have a Cobra, which, maybe there will be 5, 10, 15 popular older cars that people will want to retrofit. Yeah. We know Porsches, the air-cooled Porsches, the Mustangs, and there will be kits to drop into those. Is that the idea?
Yeah. So this is dedicated for the Cobra, all generation Cobras, but more companies are bringing system for classic minis to Defenders and Broncos, or 964s, as we mentioned. And because the market is becoming bigger and bigger, more and more solution will come to the market.
Yeah, I drove that Gildred Racing Classic Mini. Yeah. They had the electric classic cars drop-in thing. They seem like a really cool company building kits, a lot for Land Rovers and others.
Yeah. And this system goes all in as far as power. They're also not as wild solution. If you want to make it a daily driver, maybe it's even more interesting to have something a bit smoother and not as crazy. But if you want the raw power of a Tesla Model S performance drivetrain, let's do it.
Yeah, with electric, power is so cheap.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And it's becoming cheaper and cheaper. More specialists are repurposing. The whole industry is developed around repurposing all components and designing new systems. So it's a booming world.
And this is a Hypercraft I see all over the place. Can you explain what Hypercraft is?
So Hypercraft is a company designing, producing systems, and so battery packs, but also a complete system, so you can convert your car. So in this particular case, they started with Art Morrison chassis, so a very good hard rod chassis. And then Hypercraft brought the technology to convert it to electric, and they will be using a classic Chevy Corvette body on top.
Right.
So that's another solution, another branch of the conversion to EV world. Yeah.
So cool. It is so cool. And here's, I guess, some of their motor tech and
some of their motors. You can see the battery packs over there.
And is there becoming a consensus in the conversion space? I've seen some do 800 volt, some do 400 volt. Well, what's the future?
I think the future for the next couple of years is definitely 400 volts, because 800 volts, you can make the battery packs and everything, but the motor, the panel is relatively limited. So eventually, why not? But I don't see it happening before a couple of years.
Right. I saw Tremec had some cool 800 volt tech, and just so many new players coming into the space. And with so many new players, do you think we're going to see a consolidation, or is there just so much demand for everything that everyone can succeed?
You mentioned the State of Charge, and State of Charge was a convention for the whole industry, and different people did presentation or keynotes, and I did a keynote, and my point was to always bring standards, so the whole industry follows the same standard as far as training, as far as installing high voltage system. So we all work on the same mindset and the same standards. So we want to avoid any issues. Because if there are any issues, if anyone gets electrocuted, then maybe the government will look into it and they will want to bring new laws and slow down the whole process. So let's be very careful with what we do. Set up standards, again, training standards, safety standard. I mean, say you're a firefighter and you see a Cobra. How do you know if it's electric or it's not? In the US, there is no dedicated license plate that would tell anyone that it's an electric car, so maybe something to consider. Because if you don't know if there is high voltage on the car, you don't really know where to cut, and it could be very dangerous. And unfortunately, we've seen early adopters of EV conversion not using orange cable, for instance, using black cable because
so really sketchy.
It could be very sketchy. So now the whole industry obviously is promoting the use of orange.
So it seems like the whole industry of conversion is in its infancy. It's growing up. You're learning from mistakes. And
there's never been any issue yet, and we really want to keep it this way.
Sure.
So,
yeah, of course. But when you're dealing with 400 volts even, this is deadly voltage. So it's important that safety is paramount. I know there's some new classes that folks can take. You know of any offhand?
Legacy EV is doing several days training, up to 5 days. That's for the US. Hypercraft is doing 1 to 2 day training. And outside the US, you also have Felton doing training in the UK and Europe. So again, the industry needs quality training, and we are setting standards so we all know where we stand.
Fascinating. And here's a company that I'm actually familiar with, ECD. I'm a Land Rover guy, as you know.
I'm also.
as are you, right? So we love our Land Rovers, we love our Jags, we love our old British cars, and these are these are really expensive. They are crazy.
But that's the good thing. There is a market for everyone. So converting a car is never going to be cheap, but putting a brand new drivetrain in your muscle car was never cheap.
Right.
So if you want to put a brand new LS and a new transmission in your car, a brand new gas tank, it's never going to be cheap. So EV conversion are becoming cheaper and cheaper, but it will never be like a $10,000 or $15,000.
Right. We're talking 50 grand to do it right. Something like that.
It's a good average, 50 to 60.
And here's a great Defender 110 or even 130. I'm not sure, but a nice long one. Super nicely done with the interior kitted out. And actually ECD is invited out of spec over to Orlando to drive this one and some other stuff. So I need to take them up on that offer because it's just so cool. So what are, what are the capabilities we're starting to see with these conversions? You know, fast charging seems to be something we're just hearing about coming in.
Felton in the UK, they launched the CCS1, CCS2, and potentially NASC very soon also. So it's a game changer for the industry because we're all waiting for it, and now it's open to the market. So they're coming in the US, already available to order.
And with especially fast charging, now you're dealing with a very high voltage, very high current public charging station and temperatures. And so having that standardization, like you were talking about, is really key.
I think within 2 years, the EV conversion industry will closely match OEMs and tier ones, because the funny thing, some of those guys are already working with or for OEMs and tier ones. So behind the curtains, some of these companies are providing major companies in the UK, in Europe, in the US, especially companies that have like a classic division. They need solution for their
classic Mini. We know there's going to be what's the story on that?
Also classic Mini with BMW in the UK, and Felton and Recharge Heritage in the UK. They struck a deal and they started doing a few Minis, and now you can buy the whole system, and it's been approved by BMW Mini.
That's amazing.
So they even showed the car at the Mini plant, the BMW plant, where they used to build the Minis.
In Oxford. Really cool.
So really fantastic.
And then we see these crazy things.
So I think you saw this already.
Yes, I'm familiar with this one for sure.
So Pik P Lucy block car.
We saw it run at Pikes Peak, and it was just so cool. Great story, of course, that they were involved with, the whole block family. This car is very, very sentimental. Really cool stuff.
But this is a very good example of where the industry is going. So Sierra used to build those buggies with petrol engine or gas engine, and they completely changed their game. So the new business model is just doing EV.
That's awesome. Yeah, and they're small batteries, 16 kilowatt hours, something like this.
But
And
you don't need that. You don't need much.
you just need to get to the top of the hill, in this case, just to the top of Pikes Peak.
As light as possible. And what we used to love with big motors, like big V8, is you want torque, you want power, and maybe you want noise, but that's something else. But
Yeah.
power, torque, you get from an electric motor.
And it's the size of a watermelon.
Exactly. And it's getting smaller and smaller.
Yes.
So
Have we, I guess, there's, like you mentioned, there's a lot of new, like Hypercraft making their motors and batteries.
Yeah.
How many conversions are using crashed cars?
I think it's becoming a smaller and smaller part of the industry.
Yep.
It's very good. As I would say, if you want to be coming in this industry, you need to do it like this way, just to learn every component, how to program everything, learn from it, and then you can maybe set up a business and use different components and scale.
Yeah, we've seen, I don't know if you're familiar with Maxwell vans. We did a video on them where they take crash Teslas and build, cargo vans. But at some point, if everyone wants crash Teslas, I mean, there's not going to be enough. We need more Jordans to go crash them. So, this it becomes a problem.
Yeah, but maybe we'll be using more Model Ys, for instance, being the most sold car in the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just think that's smart, because then you have really small motors, proven technology from an OE, but also, I mean, what's your opinion on the reliability on a lot of these things? Have they worked pretty well? I know like there's bugs and stuff.
I'm lucky enough to travel the world to test vehicles all around the place, and there's sometimes little bugs when we test drive cars, but they always work. So they always make sure everything's fine. And some of those companies, they will keep the cars before they deliver them to their customers, to the owners. They will drive them for weeks before they release it. So we were talking earlier about the keynote, and my point was always to bring your customer experience the same as the OEM. So don't deliver the car if you just finish it the day before, because the customer has been on your back,
right?
And he wants his car because he's been waiting 6 months. Maybe he has to wait another week or two, but at least the car will be reliable.
Test it, make sure it's good to go, and that's just something I think the industry will get to.
Yeah.
So what else is here? I mean, obviously there's companies like BendPak, which hopefully we'll see more on out of spec here soon, creating EV-specific service equipment.
As the industry is evolving, tools and repair technicians are also needed. So the industry has also started FTech to promote the training of EV technicians, because the US and the whole globe need more technicians. We need them yesterday, because OEMs need them, but aftermarket also needs them. So we need also dedicated tools. Like if you need to remove your battery pack, you need a solution.
Right, and it's got to be safe. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so having
and convenient and safety, first. Yeah.
So I'm looking at this crazy, Testarossa that's electric, and famously, electric classic cars had the red one.
Yes.
That was really cool.
So my point of view on this one is Richard. So there are two Richard with two Testarossas. So
okay.
Richard at ECC in Wales, UK.
Yep.
He built one, then two, and I think he's working on 4 altogether. And then Richard Rawlings from the Gas Monkey Garage probably saw it, and he wanted to do something crazy, so he went above and beyond.
I've never seen anything like this.
Rather than just rebuilding the Testarossa, they completely chopped the roof up, completely redesigned the car. The steering wheel is in the center.
Yeah, let's take a closer look at this.
The position is the same as a McLaren P1 or F1. Sorry.
Yeah. Amazing. And one thing that you told me that makes my heart feel a little bit better was that what's the story on this particular one?
So Richard Rawlings bought 5 crash damaged stunt cars. So they didn't have the drivetrains. They had crashed, obviously used for stunts. So they used 2 of them to build this Testarossa. So it's a 1989 car, and they completely rebuilt it. Again, chopped the roof out.
It's just so cool.
You may have noticed that there's no holes for the exhaust system anymore, so they just plenty of it.
And I love how they call it the Testa instead of the Tesla.
They have a very funny logo. You may have a better look over there.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. They have custom wheels for it also.
Yeah, those wheels are epic. I mean, the whole car just looks next level.
Yeah.
This is totally done right.
Check this out.
With the Zap logo. I'm sure Ferrari loves that.
Awesome. And another thing that's going to piss off people, this is an actual 1989 Testarossa windshield.
Oh, wow.
I guess it cost like 10 or 15 grand. They just cut it because they needed it.
Yeah, okay, that's
why not?
crazy. Oh, next
Yeah.
level.
But yeah,
That's
the
really
front is
cool.
fantastic also.
Yeah, it is so neat. And what's going on over here?
So these guys for the last couple of days, and they brought a hot rod, so a 1930s hot rod with a big V8.
Yeah, the V8's
So,
right
and
over
they drove
here.
it in.
So it drove in with this engine,
Yes.
and now it's got an
already-
electric one.
Yeah, it's going fully electric with a system from Felton. So the battery pack is being installed right now. They have a Zonic motor, and tomorrow, by the end of the show, they will be driving down the Las Vegas Boulevard. So
Fully electric. So it
I
shows
don't
how
think anyone
quickly-
has ever done this before.
Okay, that's cool. So the build speed is happening quicker.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they only needed like a couple of hours a day to do the conversion, because I think it takes like 10 hours to do the full conversion. But they needed 4 days because the show is 4 days.
Sure. Okay, so they're actually going slower.
Taking the sweet time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is so cool. Yeah, neat story. Cool. Well, yeah,
It's an international team from the UK, from all over the US also. We were talking about the Gas Monkey guys. So Legacy EV trained the Gas Monkey guys, and then they built this with Legacy EV.
so
it's,
this is
it's
all
quite a
Legacy
fun
EV
project.
stuff then. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got 85 kilowatt hour battery pack. Holy smokes,
Yeah.
that's juicy.
So Richard was saying yesterday it might be 400 horsepower more than original. So I think we should take it for a spin sooner than later.
Yes, I need to have a
Yeah.
drive in this one.
Yeah,
That
so
would be really cool.
We'll take it on Saturday, so the day after the show.
Amazing.
We'll have access to it.
And
so.
that'll be in an upcoming issue.
Yeah, it will be on the cover of the EV Builder's Guide.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah.
And electric go-karts, like crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you can build a car,
Go-karts easy.
yeah. So I did the training with those guys last year when they first started the training. So it's a 5-day full training.
With
And
Legacy?
With Legacy EV. And at the end of the training, you program the car and then you take it for a spin.
Oh, so you learn on carts then?
You don't necessarily. You learn the basics in on a bench, which they have over there. So let's
Yeah.
talk to Bailey.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
So of course you don't want to touch anything you're not supposed to touch.
Right.
But when we did the training, we had everything laid out. The cable was not where it was supposed to be, and we had to troubleshoot all the errors, which could come from unwiring something to unplugging something else, so to no coolant in the system, the high voltage battery being disconnected.
Yeah, wow, amazing.
Yeah, and you have everything laid out. So it's quite cool also because you learn everything you will put in your car. You learn it first.
I've seen something similar at the EV Learning Center in
Yeah,
San
in San
Diego.
Diego, yeah.
Yeah, so we did a video there with those guys, and yeah, similar idea, just to get people trained, because the workforce needed for this business, and also the OE business is crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, exciting times. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
All this stuff will get added.
What else do we have?
Yeah, you know. So yeah, 'cause, you know.
Well, this looked like another skateboard chassis for
Yep.
a Volkswagen bus.
Ah, very cool. So you could take your bus shell and drop it on
Yeah.
this insane chassis.
It's quite extreme, but yeah.
Yes.
You have to.
But the thing with the Volkswagen bus that I always love is they were always a little bit scrappy, a little cheap, never 100%
that's not
perfect.
gonna be cheap.
And this is the opposite of that,
Yeah.
but it will be
I mean,
amazing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they have this old Jeep that looks cool.
Well, talking about Volkswagen bus, there's another one over there, and it's quite unusual. So maybe we'll take it.
Yeah,
from-
let's
have a
check
look.
that out
Yeah.
for sure. Maybe
Yeah.
on the way you can tell me just a little bit about the customer base for these EV conversions, because we're starting to see, you know, obviously things from even new cars
Yeah.
getting converted, and these guys are all, you know, also huge hub in Utah.
Yes.
Like, what is going on with Utah?
I don't know.
Conversions.
But yeah, the funny thing is they built this car, started with a brand new car, converted to EV, and it races with gas cars. So eventually, I think they want to do a full series with only EV cars.
Right, and this was over at Grid Life, I believe. I just wanted to show the viewers it has CCS
Yeah.
fast charging. Of course, we'll see this transition to NACS. That's easy. The port doesn't matter. That will happen. And yeah, but for like the buyers of these classic cars being converted, are a lot of them rich guys who are like, that's just really cool, I'll just take one and throw it in the garage? Or are they enthusiasts, or what are you finding?
They're enthusiasts, and they start from the much younger generation to the old school guys, seeing the light and understanding that you can love your V8, but you can also love new technologies, and they don't have to fight each other. I mean, we love our V8s. We love. I mean, I was saying earlier, I like the torque, I like the power, and I like the sound, but on a daily basis, I love my EV, and I just love the torque. That's the thing about
of course. And we both have Model 3 performances, and they
just
rip.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really cool stuff, and so many new companies. So what do you expect to see in the future with a lot of these startups coming in? Is there now becoming a business case? Because one thing I've heard is like extreme wait times, where it seems like anyone can start a conversion business, get in there and have instant customers.
Well, obviously the market is getting bigger and bigger, but you have to be very careful with people delivering and people over promising and other delivering. So it has been the case with some companies, but we were talking about standard and we were talking about the industry working together. And I think sooner than later, those companies will go away and a new member will replace them, actually delivering a system and battery packs.
Right. So,
but the whole supply chain has been becoming better and better, just like for OEMs with brand new EVs.
Right.
Yeah.
So your recommendation then to a startup wanting to get in this space is, maybe don't overpromise.
Well, you should never overpromise to start with. I know for funding, people would love this, but you have to be very careful. Just like any other industry, you never want to overpromise and underdeliver. And I think this industry has good foundation now. And let's talk about this next year and see where we are. I anticipate this will be even bigger. And bear in mind, we are in the central hall, where usually you have the big guys, so the Chevy, the Ford, and the Toyotas, and so on. And now we're here.
That's crazy.
It's by far the largest EV industry gathering I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, other than like an OE event or something like that, you just don't see these, and these are high dollar builds, just crazy passion here. This is unlike anything I've ever seen, that's for sure. And that's why we're starting to cover it on our side, because you and I have spoken for over the last months about, okay, should we get into this space? Is this something people are interested in? And I think the answer is, it will only get more interesting to more people.
Yeah. I was talking about the younger audience and the older generation. I want to show you something.
Okay, yeah.
I'll actually show you someone. I don't know if she's here, but Karen has been racing Cobras for over 30 years. And now she's involved with Scorpion EV, and they build a complete system to convert not necessarily a real Cobra, but you can opt for a conversion. I think it's just under 40,000 US, which is low budget, if we can say.
So 40,000 US for the conversion.
For the conversion, so you get the transmission, you get the motor and the battery pack.
That's
and it's all
honestly,
enclosed.
like, what's the size of the battery? Do we know?
I think they have several options.
Okay. 40 kilowatt hours roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
And they use Model S modules.
Cool.
So that makes it more affordable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite fantastic. You can still drive your Cobra. And check this out. To charge the Cobra, they use an old school fuel pump, and now it's an electron pump.
With that charge point unit on there.
Straight to here.
Love to see it. That is so cool. Yeah. And so they're the components basically for these vehicles. Is everyone using the same onboard chargers, the same inverters, or are they all kind of Wild West?
We were talking about the Wild West, and people still decide to use different technologies because also providers not necessarily having always the components they want. But eventually that will be something we may discuss at next year's convention, is set up standard again on all aspects of the build.
Right. I think that could be really interesting. Also, just from a servicing perspective in the future, having, maybe 2 or 3 of everything that people really understand could really make a lot of sense. This is just fascinating how it fits right where the original V8 would have been. Really, really cool
and
stuff.
I think they installed it yesterday live.
Oh, no way.
In under an hour.
Crazy. I mean, this is, once you have a system built for this platform, like we showed for the Cobras over there somewhere. It's just plug and play.
And that's really where most of the industry is going. So we were talking about skateboard chassis, that will be for the higher end, but the modular battery pack, motor package and system kits is the way forward.
Very cool.
And it makes it very easy to distribute internationally and send it to a destination where you could not just send a platform. And also, for instance, in Europe, you could not register a platform. So, whereas you can convert a car with a battery and a motor. So, different aspects for different markets.
Seeing more Hypercraft over here.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, Legacy EV, Hypercraft, these seem to be huge household names.
Yes.
Are there any other ones that come to mind that really are the big top players?
Yeah, Felton is the next one,
Felton,
because they've been scaling and they deliver a large amount of battery packs. And we can have a look real quick, but their battery pack is water-cooled, all-enclosed, ready to be bolted on. So they do system for Land Rover Defenders, for instance. You remove the bonnet, and remove the old diesel engine and put the battery pack, and replace the original transmission with a Tesla Model 3 motor or a Zonic motor, whichever you want, and you're ready to go.
Oh, amazing.
We're talking about the Minis. They do it for the Mini and train a technician to replace the old system with the electric system in 2 days.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So cool. And yeah, speaking of safety, really cool equipment and training, mobile EVSEs from Juice, a company we've done a lot with over the years.
And OEMs are also going into the EV modification. So it's just a little bit outside of the EV conversion, but it's just as exciting to modify OEM cars.
Yeah, so we have a full video on this one on either this channel or Out of Spec Guide. I'm not sure which, but already live and so cool.
So yeah, Ford just presented this MacE.
Yep.
So it's got everything you want to go off-road.
Hell yeah.
Be on the trail. And they even have an electric bike in the back.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
This is neat. They have the Rebel Rally actual rally version. That's the customer purchasable one. Yeah. And then this is just next level. Someone needs to do this.
So they lifted up probably like 5 inches, bigger wheels, wide arches.
Yeah, so neat.
And check this out. They even have plenty of room in the front to put the winch.
Oh, look at how the winch comes through. This is so neat.
And lots of lights, skid plate protection.
So cool. So they used an actual rally to start with because this is the lights in that one, and then they built it out from there. Oh, I love stuff like this. Ford always, even back in the combustion days, even continuing now, they've always done the cool special edition stuff.
And the SEMA show is the place where they will always prepare those cars just to present them. Yeah. So, funny anecdote, we are next to Cheap Foods, which is in the hot rod world a legend, and he's working on something, and he's been telling us a few things, so watch this space.
Okay, wow, that's exciting. That is a real household name in hot rodding. That is very cool.
So there's also a couple of companies doing body kits for Teslas, another brand.
Okay.
Yokes and stuff like that. Stuff we're more used to see, but they're bringing new technology, new lights. Because I was saying earlier that the car culture has fully embraced the EVs, so there is a market for body kits, wheels, dedicated components for.
Right, and we've seen a huge culture of modifying, series production models like Model 3, Model Y in Southern California especially. There's a great group of EV owners called SoCal EVs, and they've gone crazy with the modifications on their cars.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Of course, you can see the air tank up front, and you can just go next level crazy on these things.
And I mean, so many Model Ys, like white one, are on the road. You really want to, change the game a little bit and go crazy. And so.
Yep. Here's a very famous Model S known from online. Everyone knows this car, I think. Super cool. Yep. Just next level. Super busy around here too. So Jerome, maybe one thing before we end the video, we should go take a look at that Volkswagen bus.
Yeah.
The shortened one.
Yeah.
And maybe you can, on the way over, just share some of your final thoughts on, the media side of this world. Obviously, you're in the business of covering this space. You've been covering cars and automotive for a really long time. Why do you cover this space? Should we cover this space? What's your impression of everything?
Well, I think people need to comment below if they want to see a new channel dedicated to conversion to EVs and modified EVs. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, drop in a serious hint,
yeah.
I like it.
But this thing, I mean, SEMA has really been pushing EVs and conversion to EVs, obviously dedicating this whole area, and they understand how big the market is. It is the next big thing. And I think all those companies just exploding, booming, selling internationally just shows how big the market is becoming and the interest for it is. And we need channels like this one to promote it. So there's only one way to find out if people are going to like it. It's to like this video.
That's right.
And share it and tell us what you think about it.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a smaller market than a new car. New Model 3 Highland video did really well. I don't think we would see something like this from necessarily. Where is the van? Is it over on this
must
side?
be the next one.
Okay, this thing looks crazy. We wouldn't see that from the conversion space, but if it can be a growing market and people are interested, I think it's worth to do a YouTube channel on, not even just conversions, but also what to do with crashed car batteries and, reducing that, life cycle of a vehicle. Yeah, this thing is so cool.
Yeah, you need to see
I
the
love
side.
the Volkswagen vans. It's so short. It's so cool. What's the story on this car?
Well, those guys are near Dallas, Texas, and they were a regular, not regular, but a good hot rod shop, and they saw the light also. They understood not only there was a market, but they really love it to start with, and they just get cars in and out. So their business model is just get cars in and out, convert them as soon as they can, and it's just the most fun stuff you could do with an EV. So.
And this one has, do you know what kind of technology is in this
I
one?
think it has an Hyper 9. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Hyper 9 in here. You can see that motor. Very common to see this in the Volkswagen bus conversion.
So it's powerful and torquey enough to make this do a wheelie. So,
Oh, no way. That is amazing.
So maybe we should take this for a spin.
I think we need to. And this was actually in Colorado. And, we mentioned there's a big Colorado event, this State of Charge event.
Yes, I think it's August 8th in Golden, Colorado. It's called the State of Charge.
Yep.
And you guys should come and check it out. Maybe do a video next year, uncover it, and meet with all those guys building exciting cars.
Yeah, I think we should arrange the drives, arrange the videos, and do all of this, because this was my first year going to State of Charge.
Oh, yes.
That's where we met. That's where I had, where I saw the light on the conversion space, where I was like, oh, this is real, and this is happening on not a small scale, but a large scale. And so that's where I got super excited in this space. So,
we've been mentioning many companies on the West Coast, say Colorado, California, but the East Coast is already bringing different ways to modify their cars. So it's funny, just like the car scene is different on West Coast and East Coast, those guys do things differently.
Oh, wow.
So builds are being done in Florida, New York City, New York State. So exciting times.
Amazing. Well, Jerome, can't thank you enough for the tour.
Yeah, you're
I'll leave a
welcome.
link to the magazine. Everyone should have this, and you ship internationally, right?
Of course, yeah, and you can buy the online version also. Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll make sure that's all linked. This is not the last time you'll be on the channel. We have plenty more to do together, but thank you so much for the full tour here at SEMA. This is crazy.